Hello and welcome to your tracker tutorial. Here we are in Schoology and the Principles of Applied Engineering inside the Trebuchet Unit folder. And this is 2.0 Tracker Tutorial. I'm going to teach you today how to use Tracker, the program that will help you analyze the performance of your Trebuchet. First thing you need to do is scroll down and click on this link, Tracker Test File. It will open it in a new tab, and we're looking right up here in the top right-hand side of the window that says Download. We'll click that one time, and it will add this very short video to the Downloads folder. It's very, very short. That's okay because when we open it in Tracker here in a moment, it's going to have many frames of data for us. So what you need to do to open up Tracker is go into the Start menu on your computer. Yours looks a little bit different than this. Scroll down to the T's, and you'll find a folder where the program Tracker is located. So click on that. It's going to open up, and here it is. I believe I actually have two windows open, so let me just fix that real quick. Okay, so this is what the version of Tracker looks like. You should see three different main modules here. So if you don't drag this bar around until you find three different modules, we're going to need all three. First step is to click on the word video at the top and go to import. Now it might open to a folder that is not the downloads folder, but we need to click this drop down menu right here and find where the downloads folder is on your computer. Here it is on mine. And then we're going to select the video that we just downloaded, Tracker Intro Lesson Test Video, the same video for all of us, because this is a practice video and I'm teaching you how to use this program with this practice video. Now, when you take a video, it needs to be a vertical video with your smartphone in slow-mo mode. And then when you import that into Tracker, oftentimes the horizontal, or rather the vertical video that you took displays horizontally. So to fix that, we're going to right-click on the video, and we get this right-click menu. Go down to Filters, New, and then you'll find Rotate. Click on Rotate, and most of the time, -90 degrees is what you'll need to click on. So click on -90, we can close that. All right, so let's play the video. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the green play button. We click on that, and it's gonna play the entire video one frame at a time. And hopefully there you could see the projectile leave the frame. So I'm gonna stop the video there, and you'll see this button next to the play button. This restarts our video to the first frame. So what we're going to do is just select a portion of this to edit, because we don't need to analyze every single frame here. So I'm going to hit the play button, and then when the trebuchet really starts moving, I'm going to stop. And this thing right here is called the playhead. I'm going to right click on the playhead, also known as the slider, and we'll set the start frame to the slider. So you want to make sure that you're selecting here start frame to slider. And now you see this little black arrow is now matched up to frame 33. So now we'll press play again. And we'll see the projectile comes out of the sling. And right here, I will pause the video and I can see my projectile flying away. So I'm gonna pause the video and then right click on the playhead again and say set end frame to slider. So I started around frame 33 and now I'm at frame 134. So that's about 100 frames we're gonna be analyzing. And now when we hit this button to reset to step 0, we're resetting here to frame 33. Okay, so that's the first step out of the way. By the way, this video that you're watching now that is linked over here in Schoology, you should take this video, open it in YouTube, and right-click on the video, right-click in another location, and then say Picture in Picture. So now you're actually going to be able to see me in this little Picture in Picture window. And you'll be able to drag that around everywhere you need to. And I just closed that so we don't see it anymore. But that's the best way for you to follow along with me. Okay, now we need to calibrate using the, look, it even tells us down here, calibrate the video using a calibration tool. So this is our calibration tool menu over here. We're going to click on this little blue icon. It looks like it says 1.0 in there. It's got some blue plus signs on a little line. We're going to say new calibration stick. SketchUp, I mean, not SketchUp, Tracker is great because it often will tell you what you need to do in yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag one end of this calibration stick onto this wheel, another end down to this wheel. Come on, work with me. There we go. Just like this. And we will change. I'm going to zoom in by scrolling in on my mouse. You can also zoom in using this drop-down menu right here. So we're going to zoom in a little bit more, and you can click and drag the image wherever it is you need to. I really want to make sure that my calibration stick is right in the middle of this wheel and the middle of this wheel. So just like this, two ends of the calibration stick that we will now click in the value here where it says 1 meter. We're going to click in there and we're going to change that to 24 inch and then press enter. It will ask if you want to change the length unit to inch and you can say yes. So what we have here now is a real life measurement that I had prior to this video measured, and I knew that from this point to this point is indeed 24 inches. You're going to need to do the same thing with your trebuchet, and you can again drag this around anywhere you need to calibrate the measurements that you're going to be using. Now, once that's done, you don't have to do it again. We're going to now go ahead and begin tracking the movement of these different items. So we're going to track the counterweight, we're going to track the end of the beam, we're going to track the projectile. Right now the projectile is hidden inside this pouch, but when it comes out of the pouch, we will continue to track the projectile. I like to zoom in quite a bit here because the further in you zoom, the more accurate you can be. And what we're going to track here, how we're going to start tracking is we click up here at the top where it says track, and then you're going to select new and a new point mass. Just like this. Okay, so it automatically names the point mass A. We're going to click on the word mass A. You can either click here or you can click here, and we're going to click the first option, name, and we're going to rename this using this little window. We're going to rename this counterweight, or CW for short. Press enter. Also, if you knew what the mass of your counterweight was, which you should know, you can enter that in here. It should be around 1 kilogram. So we're just going to leave that for now. You'll notice in yellow down here it says set mass on toolbar, which I just mentioned, but then shift click to mark. So I'm going to hold down the shift button on my keyboard with my left hand, and with my right hand I'm going to go ahead and begin tracking this mark. Now on this trebuchet there's a stack of washers going through this axis and a stack of washers going through right here as well. I'm just going to track the one on the end. So I'm going to try to click as close to the middle as I can. Now I just clicked, and every time I click, it's going to add a point, but it's also going to advance to the next frame. So I should be on the second frame now, and now I'm going to click again, and you can see the frame advancing down here. I started on 33, then 34, now I'm on 35. Hold down shift and I'll click another time, and we're just going to click all the way around. Okay, so I've done 20 so far. Make sure that you are moving your mouse each time you click. Don't spam this. It does move, so you need to move because the object you're tracking is moving. So make sure that you're moving your mouse down a little bit each time. And when you need to readjust the picture, take your hand off shift and you can drag this picture around wherever you need to. Make sure you click on shift again. When you hold down shift, the previous bits of data disappear. Okay, as my trebuchet's counterweight gets obscured by the frame here, I want to make sure that I do not guess. So if you cannot see where, in fact, right here in this frame, I cannot see exactly where the point that I'm tracking has gone, I'm going to click down here in this blue button that says step forward. I'm going to click one step forward and we'll just have a little bit of missing data there, but it's better to have missing data than made up data. Okay, so you can hopefully see that our counterweight is starting to slow down, and this is missing data right here. I can't really see what's going on, so I'm going to do a few more steps forward, and there's my point again that I'm tracking. Admittedly, it does get a little bit hard to see at this point. But again, if you can't see it very well, just skip forward. It's better to have missing data than false data. Goes behind the frame again, so we'll click forward a few frames, and that's enough. Okay, so we're good there. Let's zoom back out and play the video with all those guide points on there. Just see in general how that looks. It looks pretty good. Okay, now we will reset to step 0, and we're going to track a new point mass. So go ahead and click on track at the top, click new point mass, and we're going to rename now mass A to beam. Change that to the word beam. And now we're also going to change the color. So click on this new point mass, and we're going to go down to color and change it to, it doesn't matter, green, yellow, blue, something like that. It's red, so I'm going to change it over here to green. And we're going to go ahead and track now the end of the beam. We're looking at the very, very end of the beam. So I will, you see there's like a little darker spot right there. I believe that is the pin, the release pin. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift, making sure that I have reset down here to frame 0, and then begin clicking there. Very important that you click in the same spot every time. You see when we're zoomed in this far, I could click on this end of the beam or that end of the beam, but you want to click on the same spot of the beam every time. In this frame, a little bit of color changes. Probably the actual sling, that pink string of the sling coming into play. If you do have an error, you can actually take this 43 and you can drag it wherever you need to. Just make sure that you go to the slide that that you're changing, so you can advance like this, or reverse for that matter. Okay, so if it's too hard to see, like right here, I'm going to go ahead and advance. And there I can pick it back up down here. All right, it's too hard to see here, so I'm going to skip forward a couple of slides, and I can pick it up right there. Now, this video was taken in a lower light situation. When you take your video, you're going to be outside, hopefully on a sunny day, and it should be easier for us to see. That one was in the wrong spot. So we are getting a little bit of motion blur here because the beam is moving so fast. You want to select the leading edge of the beam. It's really moving fast now. I have to move the picture around almost every frame. Now you can see it's starting to slow down. And that's the end for us. So we're tracking, looks like 101 frames. Okay, I'm gonna reset to step 0, zoom back out. Let's go ahead and see how that looks overall. You can see that green trail for the end of the beam. And now the final thing we're gonna track is, of course, the projectile. So we click on the word track, or you can click on this word new here if that's still on your screen. Point mass, we're going to change the name of this to projectile. And we're going to change the color. Let's change it to a bright kind of aqua color, so it's easy to see. Okay, zooming in to our projectile. Again, it's going to be hidden inside this pouch. So it's this dark area right here. It's at first going to be kind of hard to see, but that's okay because really the important part of that information is after it leaves the sling. So as you can see here, these first few clicks, it's really not moving much at all, even though we know the end of the beam is moving. But because this is a whipper style trebuchet, the projectile actually doesn't resist the motion of the arm very much at all. It's moving down slightly. See, there we go. We can see a little bit of a trail happening. See the frame of the trebuchet, because it's on wheels, is moving to our right, which means the projectile is moving to the right just slightly as well. Okay, now right in this area, I can't really see what's going on. So I'm going to skip ahead a few frames. I know that it's really taking off now, but I still can't actually see the pouch, so be honest. Okay, now here we can kind of see the pouch reappear right in here about frame 104. So I'm going to go ahead and restart tracking again. And now this is where it's going to start to go really fast. Okay, you will start to see some motion blur. I always want you to select the leading edge of that blur. So if we're moving, in this case, a clockwise rotation, I'm going to select the part that is furthest in that direction of motion, because each frame lasts a certain amount of time, and in that amount of time the projectile was able to move a certain distance, so we want to give it all the credit that it is due. We're still inside the pouch, it looks like. But any moment now, there it is. This is a motion blurred image of that projectile. So you see, this is what I mean. It starts in this frame right about here, right where frame 94 ended, and it goes this far during that amount of time. So we want to give it all that credit. So make sure that you are selecting the leading edge of the projectile. And now I'm not concerned about the pouch at all. I'm concerned about the projectile. So now the projectile is out of the pouch. It actually should have already traveled its fastest speed at this point, but we'll do those last few clicks for good measure. Okay, so now we've actually tracked everything. Zoom back out, now we can see everything. Let's go ahead and play our video with everything all together. This is the pretty part right there. Now we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the right side of the screen. Go ahead and hit this button down here to reset to step 0. And we're going to change what these graphs look like over here. So first of all, we're going to select plot, and we're going to say 1. We just want one plot. And right now at the bottom, it's in time and seconds, which is important that is the way that is. But over here on the vertical axis, we want to change X inches. We want to click on that word X inches, and we want to come down here to velocity magnitude. That is going to change what we're viewing over time. We're going to be looking at the speed. And as you can see here, we're looking at the projectile. But actually, I want us to look at all three things. So in the middle of this graph, right click, and then right down here, you'll see compare with. So select compare with, and then you can just say select all, and then say okay. All right. Down here in the table, we're going to select this right here where it says columns. We're going to select that, and then this little pop-up menu comes up. We're going to deselect X and Y, and we're going to select V, again, velocity magnitude, which just means speed. And then we can close that. Okay, so from here we can actually begin to analyze the data. I think I have a little bit of a bad data point there, but we'll fix that later. For the sake of the tutorial though, I just want you to select the highest speed that the projectile travels. And you can clearly see what that is up here on the graph. And then you'll select that on the graph and make sure that that row is highlighted down here on the table of columns. So you can see that my projectile, according to the data inputs that I had, was 875.8 inches per second. And that is all you need to do for now. We'll talk later in class about how to make meaningful conclusions from this data. But for now, you're going to take a screenshot of this and submit that. So to take a screenshot, you're going to hold down Shift and the Windows button and then press S. And that should bring up this option right here where it says draw a shape, create a screen snap, but you're going to click on full screen mode. So just click on that. And then clicking on your screen will bring your screenshot up down here in the bottom right. You can click on this image when it pops up in the bottom right, a full screen snip. And then you have your screenshot right here. You'll need to save it. The save button is over here on the top right. It says save as, or you can press Control S on your keyboard. You'll need to save this. Save it somewhere that makes sense. Like I always like to save these little things on our desktop so we can find them easily. And then you can, select your desktop over here and then click save. And now that that is saved to your desktop, you'll come back over to this Schoology assignment. And on your version of this assignment over here on this side, it's going to say, make a submission. And you can click on that and then upload that screenshot you just took for full credit for today's assignment. Good job.